Welcome to the Improve It podcast. Improve it, peeps. Oh my gosh. Okay. First of all, happy birthday to you, to us, to this community of amazing, amazing humans. First and foremost, you read the title of this episode. You clicked play. There's some spoilers for you in the title, but we are 3. The Improve It podcast turns 3 this year, which is crazy. I am turning 40. So when this episode launches, it will be the week of my 40th birthday. So having some feelings about that. But we started this show on April 22nd, 2020, which April 22nd is my birthday. And we started the Improve It podcast on April 22nd, 2020, my 38th birthday. Now, I just want to give you full transparency. I had zero clue what I was doing. I mean, I figured out how to get us here. I figured out how to press play, send it to an editor. I mean, there were some kinks to work out, but truly had zero clue what we were doing. I get chills every time I think about somebody starting back at episode 1 to start binging the show, because I have changed. You have evolved. We have evolved together. Back in 2020, I knew you, Improve It peeps, but I didn't really know you like I know you now. We have grown together through this journey. We started this show as the Failed It podcast. So all my OG listeners who have been here for the past 3 years, this was the Failed It podcast. As you know, we were called the Improve It family. That evolved into the Improve It peeps. And there are episodes on why we changed the show, why we changed the name of our community to Improve It peeps. But truly, the evolution is this. You can go back and check out those episodes for the full length version of how those things came to be. But the Failed It podcast was actually, I'm just going to keep it 100% real with you, which is what I do. I named this show the Failed It podcast because someone in my life told me that we couldn't call it the Improve It podcast. I'll get into that in a minute, but what happened was we had 50 episodes talking to very successful people about failure. It was awesome. I loved the show, but it got to this place where we weren't really touching on all the things that we do at Improve It, all the things that help you transform, evolve, become the best version of you. We were just giving you one side of the story. So calling it the Improve It podcast just opened the doors to so much great conversation, so many fantastic guests. And speaking of guests, if you are new to this show or you've been here a while, I mean, think about some of the most amazing people that we've been able to talk to. We've had authors from Kim Scott, who is the author of Radical Candor, and Kara Golden, the founder of Hintwater and the author of the book Undaunted. We've had Liz Vosleen from Liz and Molly, all of those fantastic cartoons you see all over Instagram and LinkedIn, and her book, Big Feelings. We've had my girl, Judy Holler, who is the author of Fear is My Homeboy. We've had Shireen Daniels, the author of the Anti-Racist Organization. We've had so many amazing authors and people. We've had thought leaders in the professional development space, such as Chris Do, who's the founder of The Future, Claude Silver, who's the chief heart officer. I said heart officer at VaynerMedia with Gary Vaynerchuk. We've had John Miles, who is the CEO and the host of the Passion Struck podcast. We've had Aubrey Blanche, who is the senior director of people at Culture Amp. We've had Mark Metry, who is a top 10 voice in mental health. Christine Michelle Carter, the #1 voice for working moms, Madison Butler, the corporate unicorn, Tara Robinson, the LinkedIn top voice, and Rocky Howard, the chief equity impact officer for the Mom Project. And in the personal development space, we've chatted with Angie Lee, who has a Forbes top podcast, Helen Hall Leland, who is the founder of Blender Bombs. We've talked to Maysoon Zayed, who is a disability activist. The list goes on. I can't possibly name all of the amazing guests we've had because we've had 160 plus episodes. But this show has evolved. It has grown into this amazing masterpiece and masterclass for you to become your best self personally and professionally. We've gone from 1 episode a week of this show to now 3 episodes a week, giving you more bite-sized chunks of content, more digestible, easily digestible shows. So if you have been here a while, I want to say thank you. Thank you for 3 amazing, fantastic, growth-inspiring years. And if you are new to this show, I want to tell you welcome. The Improve It Peeps are a very special community. These are people who love helping people. You love leading, helping, watching others evolve into their best selves. And I am so honored to be here with you and talk to you week after week on this journey. So if this is one of your first episodes of the show, go back, listen to some of the guests that we've had, listen to some of the solo shows. Know there's so much more to come. And I want to just say happy birthday to us. I mean, this is a feat. This is a feat. It is no small task. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart to this team. This is like an acceptance speech right now that I'm giving myself. But I truly want to say thank you. We've got Rachel, our podcast manager, who makes the show go smoothly behind the scenes. We've got Nicole, who you've heard on the show as well. Rachel's been here too, who's our client experience associate, who helps from all things marketing, social media, putting it on our website week after week for you. She created our wellness workbook, which we've talked about in previous shows. Say thank you to Mike, our fantastic, amazing editor who probably gets sick of listening to me multiple times a week. Mike, thank you. Truly, thank you. So it truly takes a village. I have to acknowledge that. It's not as easy as it seems just sitting here pressing record and talking to you. It actually takes a lot of work and a lot of endurance and a lot of preparation to give this content to you. And I'm so happy that you show up for it. And you should be so proud of you for showing up for yourself and giving yourself this time. So I want to go back to that story of why I did not call the show the Improve It Podcast to begin with. This is an evolution. My gut screamed at me for years to create a podcast. For years. And I sat on the idea. I sat on it. I didn't feel ready. I had so many limiting beliefs. And then when I finally decided, okay, this is going to be the year we're going to launch the show, I had a person in my life say, well, what are you going to talk about? And I said, well, we'll just give out tips and tricks of things we do at Improve It. And this amazing person who I do love said, so you're just going to give it all away? And I said, yeah. And then I sat on that for a minute and I said, you know what? You're right. We should not do the Improve It podcast. Let's talk about failure because failure is a part of the improv world. It means no mistakes, only gifts. And so instead of listening to my gut, we went in the opposite direction. Now, let me just say this. The Failed It podcast was awesome. I started this show knowing that that was going to be the topic. We're going to talk about failure, No mistakes, only gifts was the main mantra, which is a huge rule from the improv theater. And I'll tell you this, I listened to my gut, but I didn't follow my gut. And so after launching the show and then changing course, again, there are no mistakes, only gifts. I sometimes wonder what would have happened if we would have started calling the show the Improve It Podcast episode 1 versus episode 50 something. And it made me think of a parallel story that I posted about recently about my first skydiving experience. So hear me out. Here's the post. I'm just going to read it to you because honestly, I can't say it any better than I said it here. So I have a picture of me skydiving and the caption says, I thought skydiving was the scariest thing I'd ever done until I became an entrepreneur. I went skydiving for my husband's 30th birthday. I'd not yet started my company, Improve It, but I had the idea. I was just waiting for the right time to start. We were in Miami for a friend's wedding and made it happen in 3 simple steps. 1, I booked and scheduled the summit in our calendar. 2, I prepared mentally for the plunge. 3, we put on our gear and just jumped. The first 30 seconds of free falling at 13,000 feet was terrifying. I could not breathe or catch my breath. The last 3 minutes of coasting through the clouds after the parachute was pulled was pure bliss, a true magical and spiritual experience. Turns out, skydiving was a crash course in entrepreneurship. You can plan and prepare, and then you just have to jump. Some days are absolutely terrifying, and some days you're guiding along untethered, absolutely in shock you get to live this life. So whatever that thing is you are afraid of doing, I want to encourage you to just jump. And while you're at it, make sure to enjoy the ride. I'll tell you, I sat on the idea of building this business for a long time. I sat on it for about 3 years. And then when I built the business, I planned, and then I had to just jump. Similar to this show, I sat on it probably for 3 years as well. The idea of having a podcast and a podcast community where I could pour every single piece of knowledge that I have into you week after week sat on my heart for a long time. And I planned and I thought about it and I second guessed myself. And then finally, I jumped. And it was terrifying. Like I said, I had zero clue what I was doing in the beginning. And then throughout the journey and the ride, we figured it out along the way. There are times with this show that I feel like I'm just coasting because it's going so well. And then there's times where I'm like, oh, crap, we got to figure this out. We need some guests. We need more on our content calendar. I need to become more grounded to be able to sit here and talk to you and give you the knowledge that you need. So there's something on my heart that I have been sitting on a long time. And you've read the title of the show. It's not a shock to you, but I am jumping. I am leaping. I am getting out of this plane. I'm building the plane while I'm flying it. I'm jumping. I'm writing a book. I had to pause right there because your girl got chills. And I know that I've been planning and plotting this and thinking about doing it for a while. And now is the time for me to just jump. If you want to read that post, that skydiving post, you can check it out on my Instagram at Keeping It Real Deal, because this post serves as a reminder to me. I do a lot of things for you. That post was a reminder to me to jump and to not look back and to enjoy this journey. So I've thought a lot about why writing a book is so important to me, and I boiled it down to 3 reasons. 1, I love books. There have been so many books in my life that have changed my life and have changed the course of my career trajectory and my health. Skinny Bitch, which is a book about becoming vegan, didn't make me become vegan, but I live a completely plant-based pescatarian lifestyle because of it. And I read that book in 2007. I've been a pescatarian since 2007. The book, The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy, showed me how small, simple actions can lead to big goals, which is the book I used to start Improve It. Rocket Fuel is a book that showed me how to lead with innovation, how to be an innovator, and how to always have an integrator in your life. The Artist Way by Julia Cameron taught me what it is I truly want out of life, that water is my calm, and that I needed to live near the ocean, which is essentially what brought me to Charleston, South Carolina. The book, When the Body Says No by Gabor Mate, showed me that my mind has the power to heal my body. So did the book Healing Back Pain by Dr. John Sarno, both of which can be talked about in depth in our self-healing series here on the show. Those are episodes 150 to 155 of this podcast. If you want to change your health journey and the mind-body connection behind it, check out those episodes. But all of these books changed my life. I love books, which leads me to the number 2 reason why I'm reading this book while you'll be reading this book while I'm writing this book, which is that all of these books have helped me remember who I am. I truly believe that we are born on this earth knowing who we are. And we forget along the way. So we are born remembering, but then we lose it. So we have to experience life in order to get to that part of being, human being. And I finally feel like in 40 years of my life, I am being the person I was put on this earth here to be. So there's no other time for me to write this first book. There's going to be more. So hear me when I say that. But the time is now. I have evolved into who I am here to be, and I have remembered who I am. Which leads me to my 3rd reason for writing this book. It's you need it. You need it, and you need it now. And I hope this book can change your life and help you remember who you are. So just so you know, there's so much going on behind the scenes with this book. I just finished a huge proposal. I'll share this journey with you every month. It's a long process. Book writing is probably going to be one of the most hard things I've done in my life. Childbirth was really hard, but writing a book is no easy feat. So please stay tuned. Stick with this show. There's so much coming your way. If you liked today's episode, go back in, listen to some of the episodes I mentioned, check out some of the guests that we've had, check out the self-healing series, and give yourself the gift of investing in you. And I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for 3 amazing years. We are just getting started. You know what I'm going to say? Keep failing, keep improving, because the world needs that special it that only you can bring. I'll see you soon. Hey friend, did you enjoy today's show? If so, head on over to iTunes to rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now, did I mention that when you leave a 5-star review of the Improve It podcast, an actual team of humans does a happy dance? That's right. So leave a review for us on iTunes, screenshot it, and send me an email at info@learntoimproveit.com. I'll send you a personalized video back as a thank you. Thanks so much for listening. Improve it, peeps. I'll see you next Wednesday.